A new survey just dropped and it's making some couples potentially have to do some uncomfortable math. 82% of Canadians say they'd skip their wedding or scale it down hard just to get a down payment together. 82%. That's not a vocal minority on social media. That's the majority of Canadian young people saying the same thing out loud. So I ran the numbers for Hamilton specifically, and what I found isn't exactly what I expected. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you land on this trade-off, if you live here or if you're planning to move here. Here's why this conversation is happening right now. Weddings are expensive and the costs have climbed over the years. Home prices, even with the correction we've had in Hamilton over the past year, are still a lot higher than they were a decade ago. Couples are starting to ask the obvious question. If I can only afford one big expense this year or maybe in the next 5 years, which one will actually move my life forward? And for a lot of people, the answer used to be obvious. Have a wedding, save for the house after. That's now flipping. The same survey found that 83% of Canadians see buying a home as the single biggest milestone purchase of their life, bigger than the wedding itself. 79% of engaged couples say they're actually considering asking guests for cash towards a down payment instead of the usual gift registry stuff. Toaster oven money becomes house money. And the reason this trade-off exists in the first place is the price tag. The average Canadian wedding is running over $45,000 right now. That's a crazy number, and it's basically a house deposit right there. Where this gets interesting is comparing that wedding number to what a minimum down payment actually costs city by city. In Vancouver, the gap is brutal. The minimum down payment runs about $48,000 more than the average wedding. Toronto is similar. The down payment is over $34,000 more than a wedding. Go out to a market like Regina, and that completely flips. The wedding actually costs more than the down payment there by over $11,000. So this isn't one universal Canadian story. It really depends on your local market and where you're looking to buy a home, which is exactly why I wanted to run Hamilton's actual numbers instead of just going by the national stats. A quick gut check here where the pressure is highest. British Columbia and Ontario, as you probably could have guessed, they're feeling this the most. 86% of couples in BC say they'd ask for cash gifts towards a house. Atlantic Canada, it's even higher. 95% would downsize their wedding for a home. The Prairies and Quebec seem to be the most traditional, where couples there are the least likely to ask wedding guests for more mortgage money. So let's talk about Hamilton. As of last month, the average home price in Hamilton sat at $721,000. Minimum down payment in Canada isn't a flat percentage, it's tiered. 5% on the first $500,000, 10% on whatever is above that up to $1.5 million. So on that $721,000 home, that's $25,000 down on the first chunk, plus about $22,000 on the remaining $221,000. Add those together and you're at roughly $47,000 for your minimum down payment. Now compare that to the $45,000 average wedding. That's it. That's the whole gap. It's about $2,000. So the decision's up to you. In Vancouver, you're choosing between a wedding and tens of thousands of extra dollars for a house, whereas in Hamilton, you're choosing between two things that cost almost the exact same amount of money. This isn't a Vancouver or a Toronto problem anymore. It's a real decision sitting on the table for couples right now, right here in Hamilton, or people who are thinking about moving here. Whether you're looking in Stony Creek, on the mountain, or even in Dundas. But this isn't me telling you to cancel your wedding by any means. Don't take it like that. If a wedding means something to you, that's great. It's not just a financial line item, and I'm not going to pretend that that's what it is. What this video is actually about is helping you make sure you choose on purpose instead of by accident, because a lot of couples spend $45,000 on one day without ever running the math on what the same money does over the next 30 years. If you're weighing this right now, there's a few things worth knowing. The First Home Savings Account lets you put away up to $8,000 a year, tax deductible, and pull it out tax-free for a first home. The RRSP Home Buyers Plan lets you pull $35,000 per person, $70,000 for a couple. Stack those two together, and you're most of the way to that $47,000 number before you've touched $1 of wedding budget. And on the wedding side, the trend lines up with the money. Micro weddings, backyard receptions, smaller guest lists, couples swapping the gift registry for a cash fund towards the house. None of that is a downgrade. It's just where the math is pointing, and for some people, it's what they prefer. If you are trying to figure out where your money goes furthest in Hamilton, I put together a free guide that breaks down the neighborhoods so you know what you're getting into. And if you want to run your own numbers, down payment, what you qualify for, what areas make sense for you, feel free to book a call. There's a link below.